My name is Dell Smith from North Little Rock, Arkansas. Play piano, sing, crack jokes, have fun, all the way around entertainment. That's who I am.
How did you get to be Dell Smith?
It's a series of things that took place. The first thing was I was introduced to the piano by my sister on my second or third birthday, and she set me at a little, we didn't have a piano in the house, we had a little electric organ that ran off of air, and she set me at that piano. The first song I learned was Lean on Me, Bill Withers song, at a very young age. From there, my brother Freddie played saxophone, and I used to see him play his horn, and I would always be intrigued by it. And it had these little wires on it that were the springs. I later found out. I would get my fingers caught in and cut on that. So eventually he showed me how to hold it and put it together and all that. And I always played piano, but then my interest was also in saxophone as well. And then in the 7th grade, since I was a big guy, I wanted to play baritone sax in jazz, in marching band or just regular concert band. But since I was one of the bigger guys going into the 7th grade, they put me on the tuba. And so I played tuba, saxophone, and piano from a young age. And through school, I played tuba and saxophone, which was kind of crazy because one is bass clef and the other is treble clef, and horns in totally different keys. They say either you have to be crazy or a genius. And I'd say I'm probably a crazy genius. And just from there, from all through high school, I would get questions like, how could you do that? Plus, a lot of people really didn't know how much piano I played or that I played until it was either a talent show or something like that. So when I would show up and play piano, that would kind of freak people out. They're like, we only know you as, a tuba player or a saxophone player. But I'd always play piano growing up in church and different things, and that's just where I cut my teeth. And from growing up in church and seeing how a lot of things were taking place with the church and the musicians, a lot of musicians mentored me. They don't even know it to this day. A lot of musicians mentored me and have no idea, because I watched everything that they did, how they handled business, how they handled choirs, how they handled preachers, and just everybody from the lowest person in the church to the pastor and beyond that. So it's a lot of musicians. I could name names, but I know I'll probably forget somebody, but it was so many that I grew up around because my sisters sing. Frida and Sandra, they both sang as well. And so a lot of the musicians from the different churches would also spend time with them. And I'd just sit and be like a sponge, just soaking up everything. And just all the way, like I said, all the way through school, even through college, I went to Henderson State and got a scholarship for tuba. And David Rollins was the band director at the time. And after the audition, he said, "Oh, that's good." He said, "Well, we'll give you, a full ride or what have you." And I said, "Oh, I'm not through yet." So I said, "I still have another instrument I want to." He was like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna play saxophone too." He was like, "Really?" So I played the tenor sax and sight read and all that. He was like, "Oh yeah." He said, "That's not something that you see all the time." I was a music education major, which my first 2 years I was, thinking of going back into teaching or what have you. So as far as having something, people always say have something to fall back on, but if you go into education, you really have to love it. It's nothing that you would do. You don't do that for money. So the second or third, I think the second semester in college, my jazz band director, Rick Diamond, which is now Dr. Rick Diamond, knew I played piano. I played for the Angelic Voices of Faith, I think it was the name of the choir, on the campus at Henderson. And they did a lot of popular music, what have you. It was college kids choir, pretty much, but it wasn't a formal class per se. The jazz band director knew I had done that. And so when the original jazz band piano player graduated, he pointed at me and said, "You're the new piano player for the jazz band." Just like no audition, he didn't know if I could read music or none of that. So I struggled really bad reading music, and from going to play, hey, just one note in the section, to now I'm playing 9 notes, or being responsible for coloring the chord that the vocalist or the soloist or what have you. And that was really difficult. I spent a lot of time in the practice room behind that. And the first jazz band rehearsal, and I was playing piano, and there was some Sammy Natisco song we were playing, and it had a lot of changes in it. And I was struggling trying to read the music and count and keep up with the rest of the band. And he cut the band off and asked me, I won't say what he said, but long story short, he was very upset with me. And he started the song again, and again he cut it off. He asked me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Man, I'm trying to read the music." And he said, "Well, I tell you what, I'm gonna paraphrase." He said, "Go practice. And when you get through practicing, practice some more." And as I was leaving, he took his whole conductor stand with all the music on it and threw it at me. the whole band just fell out laughing, not because it was funny, but because of how intense it was. But I made light of it because we had already had some some off the cuff kind of conversations, and he knew I could take whatever he dished out to me. And to Rick Diamond, I'm really eternally grateful. It was the push that I needed to go and spend the time in the practice room and spend the time behind the piano and the keyboard and listening and learning and just, anticipating what may happen. And before long, everything, panned out. But it was not easy. It was not easy at all to go from playing 2 totally different instruments to this, which is a beast. I'll never get all the music out of this.